Scramble to Mania. Pat McAfee is the voice. Gunther versus Seth Rollins and more. This is Kent, and this is Fanatically Speaking. Let's go. All right, hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fanatically Speaking. And we're getting into WrestleMania as we are just a few weeks away, and there seems to be a scramble, a creative scramble. And it's kind of not just happened. This has kind of been my last month or so. It's been title changes, matches, storylines thrown together. And I did the episode where I was just saying Mania was taking shape. It was feeling big. It was feeling like, okay, now it's WrestleMania season. We're getting Punk and Reigns and Oba and Brock. And then you kind of get the Cody, Orton, and everything seemed to be kind of coming together. And then it seems like they're scrambling. And they're just throwing stuff together. Kind of like Triple H and whoever else creatively is, taking bologna slices and throw them on a wall to see what sticks. Maybe they've got wrestlers' names on them, and if they come close to each other, then that's a match, or that's a storyline, or they could be added to a storyline. And in all this as well, Road Dogg left creative, and we saw him on Unreal on the Netflix, and we've seen kind of like his ideas versus their ideas and what he didn't like and what they liked. And again, I think it came down to, I think he mentioned that it was just moving too fast. But, I can see that maybe he was good because it's kind of gone downhill since he left. He wasn't the problem where he just couldn't take it anymore. Maybe he didn't like the ideas that was happening. And he's doing a nice way to end their relationship since he left, however that worked, right? But as I mentioned, it's a scramble, and the biggest thing that stood out, and I'll get into matches and storylines that have been thrown together, but something that, I don't think it's ever happened like this. How many title changes have happened so close to WrestleMania? In the past, we've seen this, right? We've seen the Bray Wyatt win the title at Elimination Chamber to set up a title match with Orton at Mania. We've seen Goldberg beat Owens, for the Universal title. So him and Brock could be for the Universal title. Again, you didn't need it, and you had the whole, we know about the Jericho and Owens storyline that could have been for the title, and then it was scratched, and then they were pushed to the second match. And of course, this is why Jericho is not in WWE to this day. And still. But yeah, the title changes before Mania, and I mean like right before Mania, we have had 7 title changes since February 27th. Now, the only ones that haven't changed is the World Heavyweight Championship, which is CM Punk. The Women's World Championship, Stephanie Vicaire. The women's WWE title, Jade Cargill, and all her title defenses, all that you can count on 1-2 fingers maybe. The women's U.S. title, my favorite, right? We know that Julia is my favorite, and all of her title defenses, which you can also count on about 1 to 2 fingers. But yeah, so I'm just gonna go through the title changes that we've had since February 27th. This is a part of the scramble at the moment, just with title changes as we lead up to WrestleMania 42. We're only a few weeks away. Going through these title changes, and I did not do them in order. I just kind of said, let's just talk about the title, when it changed, and maybe some reasoning for it. Was it justified, or what is exactly, what is going on with these title changes? There's been so many. 7 title changes. They're all major titles, but still, all these title changes. The first one, the big one, WWE title, the undisputed WWE Championship, which is Cody Rhodes now. We all know he went back and forth. He got the title from Cena at SummerSlam and was champion up until, was it Raw? the first Raw and or SmackDown. I'm sorry. Ugh. Yeah, SmackDown. They got beat by Drew. The infamous Jacob Fatu costing Cody the match that led to Drew winning the title. And then we went through this whole, are we getting Jacob and Cody? Are we getting Jacob, Drew, Cody? And they switched it to Cody from Drew because they're setting up the big match with, ultimately it was Randy Orton who won the Elimination Chamber. And we get Drew and Fatu, the storylines connected. It might not be maybe what everybody wanted, but I think when you're looking again, as I say, you always want the biggest names on the biggest stage at WrestleMania for the title. Now, sometimes there's some new blood in there, but you got to get a new storyline. But Cody Randy is, again, it is the story that we've been wanting, the match that we've been wanting since Cody came back. It's got all the history. I always say that. So we're getting that. So that title change, we could have been, I'm okay with. It happened on March 6th. It happened out of nowhere to set up, after Chamber. There was all kind of stuff, shenanigans going on with Drew interfering. Then he wasn't going to get a rematch, and then Cody gets the rematch, and Orton's that led to Orton's heel turn as well. So that was March 6th. Even before that, the Women's Intercontinental Championship. AJ Lee beats Becky Lynch at Elimination Chamber. And this one I'm fine with as well, because it didn't matter who won that match. We were going to get the rematch at WrestleMania, and that's where we're at. It's all in the storyline. They've had this feud going since AJ Lee came back to tag with CM Punk against Becky and Seth. So everything lines up here. I have no issues with it. It was set up so you kind of understand, okay, this title change happened. It's going to set up for Mania, which is, February 28th, 27th is about 2 months-ish, right? But still, after Mania, after the Royal Rumble, you normally don't see this many title changes. So that one I'm good with. The next one was again out of nowhere to set up a match at Mania. And it can be justified because, again, you want the bigger name on the bigger match. The women's tag titles, the women's world tag titles? What are the women's tag titles. Let's just say that right now. How about that? They were switched from Rhea and Io to Lash, Legend, and Nia Jax on February 27th. And Rhea, this was set up for Rhea to then, the next night, win the Elimination Chamber, the women's, so she could be for the WWE Championship Women's title against Jade Cargill. Bigger name, the biggest name, the top female women wrestler that you have. Of course you want her at WrestleMania going after the top title and the heel Jade Cargill. Now, what this did, though, is leave Io Sky out of the mix, it looks like, at WrestleMania, unless they're going to do something last minute for the women's U.S. title, where it could be maybe a multi-women match like they've done for another title that we're going to talk about next. But first, still rolling with this one, the women's tag titles. And, Io did come out, help Rhea on SmackDown. So now that Jade has BFAB and Michin, and just when you thought, I don't know how I feel about it. I know I mentioned that, her having a stable is a good thing, but I'm not really fans of either one of those. So it's easy to hate them as heels, but and not like them. But yeah, so maybe Io's just going to be in Rhea's corner. Maybe. As far as that women's U.S. title that hasn't changed hands in a while, it's been Julia since she beat Chelsea Green, who should have never lost it. But we thought maybe Tiffy Julia, right? they get then a match on SmackDown, and Julia beats Tiffy. So Tiffy, I don't know. Io has kind of been involved with the Kabuki Warriors, and then so for Io, maybe that's what I don't know what she's doing. Again, she's kind of in limbo. I mean, she could even be in there with, as I'm going to talk about later, the Sammy, the Jade, the Damien. You don't know what to do with people, so you just have them doing random things and have their gimmick, their character just going up and down like a roller coaster. And then Tiffy, like, what is she doing? What are we doing with Tiffy Stratton? Like, she was great last year, and then she loses the title to Jade. Then she goes on like a vacation where she switches boyfriend. She gets tattoos. She's working out, living her best life while Jade is now the champion after beating Tiffy, and Jade barely defends the title. We don't get Bianca Belair, which injuries again are affecting. I talk about injuries are affecting everything WrestleMania, but we don't get the Tiffy rematch, right? They go with the Rhea, and which I'm good with. And it came down to the chamber. It came down to Tiffy and Rhea, But then Tiffy, now she's involved with Chelsea and Julia and Kiana James. And so she gets no rematch with Jade ever. She loses the chamber. Now she loses to Julia on SmackDown. So I thought it was bad that they have Julia as the champ, and she's beating Chelsea Green. And now she's beating Tiffany Stratton. Again, does anyone at WWE listen to the crowd? Do they watch? Do they understand? Again, no disrespect, but here's my disrespect. Julia, again, she doesn't have the following. Great wrestler. And if you got her in a feud with Tiffy, that's great. That's not really WrestleMania worthy because Tiffy is WrestleMania worthy and Julia is not. And I go back to I always go back to Chelsea Green. Can she, if she's healthy, somehow that title she has to be involved, make it a 3-way. That would be better than anything, right? Get a 3-way with Tiffy, Julia, and Chelsea for the title. So I don't know. Maybe she's not getting a match at all. Maybe she's not what are we doing with Tiffany Stratton? Again, what are we doing with the Women's United States Championship? They continue to just brutally fumble this title. So I don't know what they're doing. Again, that the tag title's lost. That of course set up not only like Io, Rhea, and all that, and Tiffy. I know I went on a little rant there, but I have to every time I talk about the Women's United States Championship. But as for those tag titles, it is Lash Legend and Nia Jax, and they will be in a fatal 4-way with the Bellas, Bayley and Lyra Valkyrie, and Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. So I knew this was coming. I talked about that. I just didn't know where. Like I thought Kabuki Warriors. I thought maybe it was still Rhea, Io, and then you may get 6 teams. So we're down to 4. That's why that title change happened. The Intercontinental Championship, the men's. It changed on March 2nd. It was taken off of Dirty Dom to Penta. Now, good for Penta. He gets his first singles title since coming to WWE. And this, set up Penta going to have a random ladder match at WrestleMania against Javon Evans, Rusev, Dragon Lee, who I believe already fought Penta, and JD McDonough. No qualifying, just all of a sudden, Penta says, I want to have a ladder match at WrestleMania, and then a graphic is shown, and that's what it is. It should be exciting, which ladder matches always are. They'll do some crazy stuff. But where's the build-up for this? You had nothing for Penta, so you throw him in a ladder match, and then you just take random guys and put them in it. By the way, again, JD McDonough is in this match. Dominic Mysterio was the champion. Now, he got the rematch, and Finn cost him. All these things happen for Finn and Dom, and you're getting Finn and Dom at Mania, but you're not getting it with the title. I don't know that it needs it, right? Maybe not, because the feud that has been built up or teased or whatever, and they couldn't decide, and now they finally decided to pull the trigger for the Judgment Day to break up, at least to kick Finn out. But we're getting Finn and Dom. So a former Intercontinental Champion, 2 former Intercontinental Champions. So they're not fighting for the title, but then all of a sudden the third guy in Judgment Day randomly gets thrown into the ladder match. That makes no sense. This is, when I talk about thrown together, this was thrown together. Again, Javon Evans will deliver. They're throwing Rusev a bone. They continue to be high on Dragon Lee, who is Sin Cara 2.0, but maybe a little better. He's gotten a little bit, I'm not going to hit him that hard. Again, Penta's coming out of this champ. I don't know how anyone else does. But it's random. When you talk about random and thrown together, this was random and thrown together. The next one is the Men's United States Championship. The Men's United States Championship changed on March 27th. March 27th. And Sami Zayn, who had nothing and has been teased, like Trick Williams giving him a hard time, all these things. And Carmelo Hayes has been having the open challenge. So we get Carmelo Hayes losing the title to Sami Zayn because Sami Zayn was told he didn't have a spot at Mania. Just right after Trick Williams was told he did have a spot at WrestleMania. Very similar. Carmelo Hayes. They just had a rematch. Carmelo did not win. And even in this match, Trick, the first time, Trick cost the match and Sami won, taking advantage of the interference, kind of like when Cody, beat Sami and Fatu, with Drew and all these things. And Sami's like, hey, wait a minute, what's going on? How could you do this? Now Sami's doing the same thing. But I feel like Carmelo Hayes is about to be Bayley last year. It was, you're going to Mania, and now you've been the champ, and now you're not going to Mania. And I thought Carmelo Hayes was doing really well with the open challenge as the champ. I think the crowd was starting to get built up. He was starting to get and Sami at the same time has been, vying for a bigger title, right? He had the match in Saudi at the Rumble against Drew, and then, couldn't get in the chamber, and he's always been teased about wanting to be champion. We said this before, right? We said this before on Raw, and then he went to SmackDown. He became U.S. champion. Then he did the challenge, and he lost. And then he's like, oh, gosh, oh, golly gee, I'm just, so happy, and I'm just a regular guy. And now he's happy about being U.S. champ again, but, of course, that's because he's going to Mania. So he's forgotten about the bigger title, but he's just happy he's going to Mania. Now, is he still not mad at Cody? Is he not mad at Orton? Is he not mad at everybody else who does the same thing that he does? Is he fine with being dropped down again on the card to, not making main event, but now just being on the card? I mean, it's kind of weird. He's an up and down guy. It was controversial again, the fashion, and he won again with, kicking, hula kicking Carmelo while he was injured, being checked on. So this time, no interference. He just kind of did a heel type of thing. So he may be turning heel soon. I think it's something to, nobody, the crowd's booing him. He's stale. No one likes this anymore. It's like, Super Cena and even Cody, like when people kind of get tired of the old babyface thing, they're really tired of bland, stale Sami Zayn. They need, he is a name who needs to turn heel, but I think this is built into that. But where does that leave Carmelo Hayes? Is this going to lead to a triple threat? Is that, maybe Carmelo still gets thrown in. Maybe. We got 2 more weeks. But again, another title change. The other title change, the World Tag Titles. They got changed on March 30th. The Usos lose to Logan Paul and Austin Theory, the last 2 remaining Vision members. With all the injuries and all the drama and all the craziness, somehow they beat the Usos. And this was another confusing and thrown together. Thrown together. Somewhere in here, LA Knight is involved. ISHO Speed is involved. And now LA Knight goes on ISHO Speed's live and attacks him because, he accidentally hit LA Knight with the brass knuckles, and then the Vision are thinking ISHO Speed, and now he don't know what he's doing. And I get celebrity involvement, but the Usos weren't they just like involved with Roman and Punk? And now they're with the Vision and LA Knight. LA Knight's been with the Vision, but not these. I mean, it's all a cluster. So what do we get out of this? Do we get a 6-man tag at Mania? Usos in LA against Vision and ISHO Speed? Do we get 2 separate matches? Are we getting a rematch at Mania with the Vision versus the Usos and ISHO Speed versus LA Knight? If that's the case for LA Knight, poor LA Knight. Man, I thought Rusev was, LA Knight again, man, what did he do to Triple H in him? If that's what he gets. And if it's a 6-man, why do I care? I don't care. I know it's entertainment. Is ISHO Speed going to is that going to make WrestleMania better? Another title change out of nowhere. March 20th, the WWE Men's Tag Titles. As we had been getting this big feud with the Wyatt Six and the MFTs and Solo and Uncle Howdy and the Lantern. Out of nowhere, a thrown together. That's the phrase. That's the term we're using here. Thrown together. Damian Priest and R-Truth beat the MFTs for the tag titles. So all along we thought maybe Mania we're going to get a tag title match, or Uncle Howdy versus Solo, or some kind of huge MFTs, Wyatt Six, some kind of conclusion to this feud that we've been watching. And then we get, out of nowhere, we got the, Priest and Truth, the old time, comedic, alternate, they're opposites, and they're now the tag team champions. We've got this before, but here we go again. But they take away from that feud, and then we kind of got the ending on SmackDown, I think, where the, Tama Tonga, and he's mad at, I think that's who, like they're all Tonga, Tama, something. And, he tells Solo, forget about it. So now the Lantern's back with Howdy, and is the feud over? Forget about it. They need the tag titles or all the gold, and Solo doesn't trust him now. And so just as he's built this MFTs, they're all going to break apart. Where is this going, and why? Why this group won the tag titles with Priest and Truth? Where are the Street Profits? Why Montez Ford has never got a singles run, and all these other guys are getting run. It's kind of like, hey, you did great, Montez, that time in the chamber. Maybe you'll get a singles run. Nah, you'll just be a tag team. And then even when y'all get popular again, we're going to take the titles off of you and forget about you forever. Another guy held down. Though I am loving The Miz and Kit Wilson, even the Danhausen part, everything there is good with the tag team division. But yeah, 7 title changes. And, and as I end on all this, it's funny. I thought about this and with Sammy and Jay and Damian with their title changes. Either they won it or lost it. And are they going, are they main eventers? Are they champions? Are they not champions? They're kind of like the Spider-Man meme. They're all pointing at each other. They're in no man's land, it seems like, where creative want to give them a push and then they hold them down, and they're the underdog and then they win. And then like Damian never really gets back on top after being the champ, and he's now stuck with R-Truth. I mean, he cannot be happy. We saw the golf cart ride at the Rumble. I mean, he feels like, I'm sure, that others are getting the time that he should be getting, and some of that is true. And again, they are the Spider-Man meme for sure, because you don't know week to week what Jey Uso you're going to get. At least I kind of can see where Sami Zayn is going. And Damian, I mean, again, he's just dropped so far. Poor LA, poor Priest. But again, these title changes were just out of nowhere and scrambling, and just like that, other things, matches and storylines are being thrown together. If there ever was a match thrown together, it would be Gunther versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 42. Seth has been out. He's been out injured because of the Vision, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed. This led to, Punk becoming champion. He beat Jay, and then he defended later against Braun Breaker. We had the mask, the hoodie. So everything's been about Seth getting payback, right? And then Braun got hurt. Then Bronson got hurt. So Seth had to start stalking Paul Heyman and Logan Paul and Austin Theory and the Vision. And he had all his hoodies and his black hoodie guys, and you know which one he was. So at least they were making the best out of that, that same gimmick and same, swerve they've been using. That was like everybody who comes back is in a black hoodie, which one guy who just came did not, but we'll get to him in a minute. But yeah, so we didn't know where we were going. And, I mentioned then all of a sudden the Vision turned, like Paul and Theory just kind of leave Paul Heyman. They forget about Seth, and they are involved with Usos, LA Knight, and ISHO Speed, which they did get the tag title, so good for them. Then we got the tease, right? Finally, when we had Seth and Paul, of course, gives us the, F5, right? So Brock shows up, and we think now we're getting Seth and Brock, and it swerved us only to Brock and Oba, which is what everybody wanted. But I was fine with Seth and Brock. We've seen it before, but at least it made sense. At least it made sense because the Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar connection, right? I still think Brock and Oba is the better option. I mean, look at the hype, look at the crowd. This is like it could if there ever could have be a main event with a title not on the line, this is it for this Mania. Punk and Roman, obviously, and it's been great, even though there's been a little bit of a, they lost me a little bit with the Usos, but I think it matters because of the family and all these things. But so we didn't get Brock and Seth, okay? Seth gets cleared. And we're kind of like, oh, okay, he's cleared. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen with Seth? He's cleared, and Paul and all this, and we get out of nowhere Gunther. Gunther shows up, who we didn't know what the hell they were doing with him. He retires John Cena. He retires AJ Styles. He chokes out Dragon Lee. And we're like, what's he going to do at Mania? Could he be against Oba? Could he be against Brock? Could he be against who's he going to, Orton? Like, who could he try to retire? This is what he is now. No connection. And I'm sure we'll find out on Raw. We got 2 weeks left. He isn't associated with Heyman or the Vision. He was also stuck in no man's land for Mania. Not quite like Sami and Jay and Damian's career, but he was stuck for Mania. He's been missing. And out of nowhere, he shows up. And again, probably this is going to be a great match, right? You have two of the best. Gunther puts on great matches. Seth is great. But no story, no build. The match, by the way, immediately made after the attack. So we're not even waiting on the reason of why he attacked Seth. I mean, we could have had something else, where this week on Raw, Seth challenges him or Gunther comes out and challenges him. It's just very sloppy how they put it together. It was just like, hey, we got to make some matches. So we don't have anything for either one of you. So let's just have Gunther attack you. And then 5 minutes later, Adam Pearce will make the match while Seth is getting checked on. I mean, again, wait a week. Just wait a week. I get it. You got to make something happen. So you put two of the best together. But at least give me another Raw to have them come out. Tell me why there was an attack. Tell me why this happened. And then have one of the or the other challenge each other for Mania. It's that easy. It's that easy to say, hey, I don't have anything going on because the Vision is broken and hurt. You attacked me. Let's go. Why did you attack me? The rumor is, he was supposed to wrestle. Gunther was supposed to wrestle Rey Mysterio, but he's hurt as well. Welcome to the injured WWE. But yeah, again, it just came out of nowhere, and it's that thing again. It's a great match. It would be any other Mania. I think you would say, yeah. I don't remember there being a backstory to this. I don't remember there being anything to this. I can't think of, they've had their moments in the past where it was teased because, there's always a tease of somebody wanting to have a world title match. But this match, just like other things, are part of the Scramble and the last minute efforts to build this WrestleMania. And a part of the thrown together. Man, was this also thrown together. Pat McAfee is the voice on the phone for Randy Orton. Where the hell did this come from? He shows up not in a hoodie or a mask, thank God, and kicks Cody Rhodes in the nuts. Again, where did this come from? I thought Travis Scott last year, Heel Cena last year, confusing Rock appearances were bad. Nothing against Pat McAfee, but he's an announcer who wrestles occasionally, but not really. And he's not been seen because he does, college football, and then he got burnt out, and he does his random appearances, and he's got his own, he's got his show on ESPN. And is this a swerve to something bigger, though? I mean, like Cody mentioned, everyone who represents Pat, and he knows who they are. Who are those people? I mean, who is that? Is it The Rock? Is it Triple H? Is it Vince McMahon? Is it just TKO getting involved again due to ticket sales, right? We all hear about ticket sales slow for Mania. And I think we can come clean real quick, but as I keep talking, as I keep on this, Pat McAfee is the guy, but can we just say that this WrestleMania it's been all over the place. Like I said, it's a scramble. And we have to be honest about this. And this is one of those things where we're 2 weeks away, a late edition, and it's thrown together for this match. I mean, McAfee is with Orton. Why? I mean, he talked for a long time about he wants huge wrestlers who are not 5'5" wrestlers who are wrestle for 45 minutes, and Randy Orton is going to be the GOAT. And was this needed for the feud that has the history, and we already got the heel turn from Randy, and then he goes and he beats up Cardona and everybody else, and then he finally gets Jelly Roll. And I mean, when this happened, the crowd didn't know what to do. They were in St. Louis, so they were cheering Randy, but a lot of the crowd's been cheering Randy. They like this Randy. They boo Cody because Cody's he's the new Cena. they seem to be confused by it all. They didn't really react to McAfee appearing, and I think the camera angle was bad. And it was just kind of like, I mean, like I said, he talked a lot while Orton was beating on Cody. So is he going to be in Randy's corner? Is there a third guy? I mean, he had a Randy Orton shirt on. Are we getting the new NWO? I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, why should I care about Pat McAfee? And that's why I say, is it a swerve to something bigger? Is this just to make us mad to get us something else? But again, you've listened to the whole show. We watch wrestling. We've seen, all these title changes and, again, what to do. A match is thrown together, and now we're throwing in just this odd addition to the WWE Championship. The undisputed title match at WrestleMania. Not to mention that, I mean, on Raw, we got Cody and Stephanie McMahon. And now we get Pat McAfee. I mean, we're just throwing random people every show out here for this feud. We're just like, who can we put out here? It didn't, like I said, there was no pop. It was kind of like Chris Jericho returning to AEW on regular TV or at all. It was a womp, womp, womp. That's what you got here. Because people are confused. What do we think about this? This is not going to help ticket sales. This is not going to help people care about WrestleMania. And I'm really negative on this episode because it is all about the scramble. Though I mentioned some of the good, and I get some of the reason for the title changes, and I just like, where's the build though? Wrestling is about storylines. I don't want WrestleMania to start being this. Well, it's WrestleMania, and we have to just, I throw things together that is entertainment, and I feel like we're really getting it this year. And I know they had to scramble anyways because they had to change the location back to Vegas from New Orleans. And they're probably going to have to do it next year if it could be in Saudi Arabia. But, of course, there's things going on over there. So it could get changed again. Rumor is that, L.A. is a possible place. I think New Orleans maybe. But, I mean, they're going to scramble again for the location. And this doesn't seem like they plan ahead for WrestleMania. You can have a swerve here and there. But out of all the matches, out of the 12 matches, and including this right here, I mean, you're just, where's the build, right? Where's the build? Where's the history? That's what you need for most of these matches going into WrestleMania. And I just feel like a lot of them are thrown together. And a lot is thrown together here. Pat McAfee doesn't equal ratings. It equals confusion. And Cody is right. He's like, wait a minute, I put up numbers. Like, I don't know what, Pat's just reading he's reading the clips online and he's reading all these stuff, but look at the numbers. But that's another conversation. But again, it was out of nowhere. And again, it's kind of like the John Cena last year. So Cody, again, back-to-back years is getting, just this weird confusion to a storyline leading into WrestleMania. Why are we doing this year after year? Like last year, we got the Cena heel turn. And then we never got a reason going into WrestleMania. And then we got the interference from Travis Scott. And now we were pretty, I think everyone was okay with Orton Cody and seeing what was going to happen between the two. Like I said, the Stephanie stuff was fine, and maybe that built up to say, can we get a meaner Cody, that harder Cody? And we're getting Pat McAfee. And speaking of John Cena, by the way, from last year, and he is now retired. Apparently, he is also the host of WrestleMania. And this is the other that I was talking about, the more. John Cena is the host of WrestleMania. So it seems too soon for him to come back in any capacity after being retired by Gunther in December. Would like to have seen him in a match at Mania. Like you could use him right now with all the stuff they're throwing together. I mean, he could have been included in some of this, Orton and Rhodes or just the Gunther and Rollins or something. He could easily have done this since he's available. You didn't even need him on TV. It would have been done before. It's been done before with limited build. Again, you could have had him and Gunther had the retirement match now instead of in December. Could have done something with the storyline. It just, that's great that Cena's going to be there, and they probably were made the call and was like, hey, we'll get John Cena to host, and that'll get people to buy tickets and things like that. And I don't know. It just hit me a little different that he's the host, and it's like, okay, so a few months later, after being retired, now you're the host. And I get it. You were retiring from in-ring, but if you're there, you mean you can't wrestle one match? You've been wrestling for a whole year. You're in shape. Even if you took a few months off and then you just wrestle at Mania. I don't know what his schedule is. I don't know anything like that, right? I just feel like if you're going to be at Mania, you could have wrestled. Yeah, that's just me. We can all talk about how he retired with the tap out and the smile and he, all these things, and he don't want to ever wrestle again. He wanted to do it nicely and neat, but it's not to me, it's not like, oh my God, John Cena's at WrestleMania because, he's been gone. I ain't had time to miss him. And he's the host of WrestleMania. And immediately I'm like, wait a minute, why didn't you just have a match at WrestleMania? If they wanted to sell tickets, then have John Cena have a match at WrestleMania. You could have had him, anything. It could have been anything. Again, you have storylines there where he could have been involved in another capacity besides being the host at WrestleMania. He could have, get matches or just more involvement in something else. I don't know what it is. Could have done that. And to wrap up this episode, I'm going to hit on a few more things. There's just things that were incomplete. All this stuff being thrown together. Meanwhile, there's things still we don't know about. We don't know why The Rock did the 1, 2, 3 throat cut at Bad Blood. In 2024, he never, he shows up as a good guy and then a bad guy. And then, again, never showed up last year after the heel turn of Cena. We've never gotten any conclusion to that with his involvement in Cody and Cena or Cody and the title or anything from WrestleMania 40 and 41. We've got none of that. We don't know who attacked Jacob Fatu. Are we just left to assume that Drew did it now that they're going to be in this match at Mania and they've been fighting and brawling all over the place? Who was on the phone with Adam Pearce? Who does he talk to when he had to talk about, with Paul Heyman? We don't know. We never got it. And who attacked Jey Uso to get him out of the Elimination Chamber? Was it the Vision? Was it Logan Paul? I mean, he benefited the most. Could have been Jacob Fatu because he was still trying to get in the chamber. All this scramble, all this stuff being thrown together, and we still got storylines that are out there incomplete. It's sloppy and it's messy. As good as WWE is, and as much as I love it, this is definitely a scramble with the title changes, matches thrown together with no storylines, no build. Just, it's WrestleMania, boom, you got a match. And we could get more. We could literally get more. Jelly Roll was on SmackDown. Was he just on there to get RKO'd? I mean, I know he had a match with Kit Wilson. Is it, Ice Show Speed? I mean, we're getting so much thrown at us. And now Pat McAfee. It could be a swerve. It might be a swerve. Is there something bigger? And do we have to do this every year to get to WrestleMania? I don't think we need to. Like I said, there's 12 matches going to happen, and I feel like majority of them have been thrown together with no kind of story, or there was just this random title change to make it happen. it's still WrestleMania. Are there any more matches? They've got 12. I mean, or is just everybody else left out? We shall see. I can't imagine that a LA Knight doesn't get on Mania. I couldn't imagine a Tiffany Stratton not being on WrestleMania. So maybe 2 more matches added. But again, they're scrambling. They got to do better. Feels like TKO's involved a lot. They just want to do whatever it takes to get to Mania. Maybe you start with the storylines. I know injuries happen, but you got to do better, right? You can do better. Y'all are smart people. Y'all sit in a room and talk wrestling and do this. Listen to the crowd. Listen to the fans. They will tell you what they want, don't want. And again, it's a scramble. And so that is another episode of Fanatically Speaking. You can listen to the show on all podcast outlets. It's everywhere. You can even listen on YouTube, no video. Follow the show on social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. That way you keep up with the episodes that are out, the new ones, the old ones. Go look. They're all out there. It's all posted. And then, like the show, share, listen, download, follow, comment, all that stuff. Do it on social. And, of course, listen on the podcast outlets. And then, whatever device you listen to, as always, tap that app. And for this episode, I am out.